What happens when one of the world's biggest superstars walks into a country famous for passion, music, pride, and emotion, and somehow leaves with an entire nation completely in love with him? No, seriously. Because what happened to Jin in Mexico wasn't just another successful concert stop. It wasn't just another viral performance. And it definitely wasn't just fans supporting their favorite artist. This felt different. This felt like Mexico collectively looked at Jin and said, "You belong with us now." And the craziest part? Even people who had never listened to BTS before started falling for him. The moment BTS arrived in Mexico City for the ARIRANG World Tour, the atmosphere already felt explosive. Fans had been waiting for this moment for months. Streets around the venue were overflowing with excitement. People traveled across cities and countries just to see them live. And social media timelines became completely flooded with anticipation. But once the concerts actually began at Estadio GNP Seguros, something unexpected happened. Jin became the center of a cultural phenomenon. Not because he demanded attention, not because he tried too hard, but because his presence was impossible to ignore. The second he stepped onto the stage, the screams became deafening. Fans weren't just cheering anymore, they were emotionally unraveling. Every camera turned toward him. Every movement became a viral clip waiting to happen. And when the concert photos were finally released afterward, the internet absolutely collapsed. One image in particular spread across social media like wildfire. Jin standing beneath golden stage lights, wearing a dramatic wide-brimmed hat, looking like he had stepped directly out of a movie scene inspired by Mexican culture itself. People couldn't stop talking about it. His posture, his expression, that calm confidence, that impossibly elegant profile. Fans said he didn't look real. And honestly, the reactions were understandable. Because Jin has always had visuals that feel almost unreal. But in Mexico, something about him felt even more magnetic. Maybe it was the energy of the crowd. Maybe it was the way he embraced the culture so naturally. Or maybe it was because Mexico itself is a country that responds deeply sincerity and emotion. And Jin gave them both. Even the backstage photos became emotional for fans. One quiet image of Jin waiting before the performance had people writing things like, "He looks lonely and powerful at the same time. How can someone look this beautiful while doing absolutely nothing?" This feels like a movie scene before the hero walks on stage. And that's the thing about Jin. He doesn't always need dramatic actions to captivate people. Sometimes he just stands there. And suddenly, millions of people can't look away. But then came the moment that truly changed everything. The Lucha Libre connection. Now, if you know anything about Mexican culture, you know Lucha Libre is not just wrestling. It's history, identity, passion, tradition. The masks, the drama, the heroes. It's deeply emotional for people in Mexico. So when legendary wrestler Místico personally connected with Jin, fans instantly realized this was bigger than a celebrity interaction. This was cultural respect. During the wrestling event, Místico approached Jin first, not the other way around. He reached out for a handshake and then embraced him warmly in front of everyone. And fans immediately noticed something. Místico genuinely looked excited. Not forced, not promotional, real. The moment spread online incredibly fast because people could feel the authenticity of it. And then, it became even more iconic. Jin later performed wearing a custom white jacket gifted by Místico himself. The jacket featured BTS's name, Jin's name, and signatures from the members. It blended the spirit of Lucha Libre with the identity of BTS in a way fans found deeply meaningful. The second Jin walked out wearing it, the crowd exploded. You could actually hear the emotional shock in the screams. Fans realized in real time that Jin wasn't just visiting Mexico. He was honoring it. And Mexico noticed. Oh, they noticed. Soon social media started flooding with hashtags that looked less like fan trends and more like love letters. El Guapo Jin in Mexico. Mi Amor Jin in Mexico. El Mariachi in Mexico. The last one especially became legendary because fans combined mariachi and Jin together, basically turning him into an honorary symbol of Mexican celebration and culture. And here's where things became truly insane. The attention escaped the fandom bubble completely. Videos from the concert started spreading all over TikTok and Instagram, reaching ordinary viewers who weren't even BTS fans. Then the comments began appearing, over and over again. I don't follow BTS, but this man is gorgeous. I'm not even into K-pop, but Jin caught my attention instantly. I'm a guy, and somehow I can't stop watching clips of Jin. That last type of comment became especially viral, because Jin's appeal in Mexico crossed every category people normally expect. Men admired him. Women adored him. Casual viewers became curious. Media outlets became obsessed. Even people who knew almost nothing about BTS suddenly wanted to know who Jin was. And then one single comment made the entire fandom emotional. The official Latin America YouTube account commented under a video, "Brother Jin, you are now a Mexican." That sentence spread everywhere because it felt symbolic. Mexico, a country known for being incredibly expressive and passionate, had emotionally adopted him. And honestly, the media coverage only confirmed it. Major Mexican outlets continuously used Jin's image while reporting on BTS's tour. One national terrestrial television news channel even chose Jin as the thumbnail image for coverage about the group. Think about how significant that is. Out of one of the biggest groups on Earth, Jin became the face that captured attention first. And it wasn't limited to news stations. Mexican WWE star Humberto Carrillo publicly showed support online. Mexican actor Eddie Villard attended the concert personally and uploaded multiple videos, filming Jin throughout the show like an excited fan. That's when people realized this wasn't just fan service anymore. This was influence, real cultural influence. And somehow, in the middle of all this emotional chaos happening in Mexico, BTS was simultaneously dominating global music charts at a terrifying level. Their album ARIRANG continued climbing worldwide rankings like a force nobody could stop. Spotify's weekly top albums. Global chart? #1 again, for the second consecutive week. And the title track, Swim, still sitting inside the global top 3 after nearly 2 months. That level of longevity is rare even for the biggest artists on Earth. But BTS didn't stop there. The album kept charting across the UK official charts, Germany's major album rankings, Australia's ARIA charts, France's SNEP rankings, and Japan's Oricon charts, where it actually started climbing upward again instead of falling. That's the terrifying part about BTS in 2026. Most artists fight to maintain momentum. BTS somehow gains more momentum with time. Every week, they become more global. Every concert becomes more historic. Every appearance becomes a bigger event. And now they're preparing for yet another historic achievement, becoming the first Korean artists ever to perform at Stanford Stadium in the United States. Just let that sink in. After everything they've already accomplished, they're still doing things no Korean act has ever done before. But then came the announcement that made the entire entertainment world pause. In July, BTS will co-headline the halftime show for the 2026 FIFA World Cup final alongside Madonna and Shakira. That lineup doesn't even sound real. The World Cup final is one of the biggest stages on Earth. Billions of viewers. Global attention at its absolute peak. And BTS won't just be attending. They'll be standing shoulder to shoulder with 2 of the most legendary female performers in music history. That's not popularity anymore. That's permanence. That's history being written in real time. But somehow, despite the stadium records, the chart domination, the global headlines, and the massive career milestones, the moments fans remember most are still the human ones. Jin smiling at the crowd. Jin hugging Mystico. Jin quietly waiting backstage. Jin wearing a jacket that honored Mexican culture. Jin looking emotional while hearing thousands of people scream his name. Because beneath all the superstar success, people still feel something deeply personal from him. And maybe that's why Mexico reacted so intensely. Jin doesn't make people feel like they're watching someone untouchable. He makes them feel seen. That warmth is rare at this level of fame. Most global celebrities become distant over time, larger than life. Difficult to emotionally reach. But Jin somehow keeps the emotional connection alive, no matter how massive BTS becomes. And for a few unforgettable nights in Mexico City, it felt like an entire country experienced that connection at once. That's why people who weren't fans suddenly became curious. That's why celebrities openly admired him. That's why hashtags turned emotional. That's why the internet couldn't stop replaying every clip. Because Mexico didn't just witness a concert. They witnessed a moment. A moment where music, culture, emotion, and charisma collided so perfectly that even after the lights went out, people still couldn't stop talking about Jin.